Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar titled Margins to Mainstream Analyzing Dalit Performance in Election 2024, hosted by South Asia Research Institute for Minorities. I am Zehra Naqvi, Senior Research Associate at South Asia Research Institute for Minorities, and I will be your host for today. Our webinar today is focused on the performance and impact of Dalit communities in 2024 elections. We have an insightful lineup of speakers who will share their expertise and perspective on this crucial topic. Let me introduce our esteemed speakers. First, we have Subhajit Naskar, our assistant professor at the Department of International Relations at Jadavpur University, Kolkata. Subhajit brings a wealth of academic and research experience in political dynamics and in international relations. Next, we have Dr. Lenin Raghuvanshi, an Indian Dalit right activist, political thinker, and social entrepreneur. He is one of the founding members of People's Vigilance Committee on Human Rights, an organization dedicated to uplift marginalized sections of society. We are also honored to have Dr. Kiran Kamal Prasad, a writer, social activist, and advocate for building agency and leadership among the bonded laborers and daily workers. His work focuses on helping these individuals access their right and fight against discrimination. We are glad that he is joining our panel for very first time. So thank you all for joining the webinar today. Let's begin with the first speaker, Dr. Lenin Raghuvanshi. Dr. Lenin will discuss the socio-political dynamics and landscape of for Dalit, the challenges they face, the role of activism, and all. Dr. Lenin, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, especially on the most important books, most important topics. And there is also a book written by Professor Ashna Kaushik and Subhajit Naskar, Margin to Dissenters. So interesting book on the Dalit impersonation and resilience in our area. Most important thing, if you look in this country, there is a two phenomena, pre-independent after the post-independent, because this is the 2000 years old caste system. And this caste system and patriarchy linked with each other. And if you look after the independence of the India, what happened, especially in our part, there is the spirit of Indian Constitution, which is based on the shaman culture of the culture of this Indian subcontinent, which brought to the many sections of Sanatan also, like Lokayat, Nyaya, Sang, Besese, and also the Sufism, Krishnati, Sikhism, Jain religion, and like that. And on the other hand, we have the Manusmriti, mind of caste and patriarchy, which is the Brahminical system. And inside India, there is a big fight. Many people are against the spirit of Indian Constitution. The spirit of the Indian Constitution with the diversity and inclusiveness of the Sanatan religion, and also it is like a Madina Constitution, the spirit of the Madina Constitution, where the diversity is also celebrated and recognized by the Rasul. So the most important thing, there's a big fight between both, but in the 70 years, there is a lot of resilience due to the affirmative actions, many schemes, programs, many progressive people, and also the community inside developed themselves very well. And you look what happened. There is also change in the politics of the Congress party and others. So there is a very two divides. One forces want to control co-status, and this co-status, which is the inhuman system, Manusmriti, mind of caste and patriarchy, and they want to create a very different culture of impurity, culture of silence, because the caste system is culture of impurity and culture of silence, and also the patriarchy. Culture of silence and culture of impunity. And in this way, also the neoliberal economic policy come together and make a marriage with these forces. And they wanted to create a corporate fascism in our country. But the masses also understand the spirit of love, the spirit of Muhabbat, and the spirit of the unity, the spirit of the diversity and pluralism. And these Dalit forces come together. And you look what happened in my state, especially. My state is one of the largest state, highest seat in the parliament. And there is a big discussions. And if you look, the Ayodhya is there, Kasi is there, Mathura is there, and there is a lot of disputes. And what happened, because then people understand a real meaning of the religion, the real meaning of dharmas and religion. And in this way, in this election, they come together against the spirit of Manusmriti, spirit of corporate fascism, and people come together and to save the Indian constitution. So BJP lost 30 seats, and in Ayodhya, you look at Dalit person from Dalit community, 9 times MLA, he owned the seat of Fairabad and Ayodhya, where is the Ram temple is there, and also our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi owned the seat in Varanasi in my city, but gap is so little. So in this way, if you look what happened, because there in especially in UP, there is a neo-Dalit votes. What is the neo-Dalits? Well, because why I'm telling the Dalits, because the the whole movement of Baba Sahib Ambedkar is a great, and we need to recognize that. But the Dalit means the scheduled caste. But Baba Sahib brought the Dalit like oppressed, all exploited peoples. And in this way, what happened? The OBC, progressive OBC, or progressive Dalit, progressive upper caste people, progressive women come together against caste system and against communism and also against the corporate fascism. And there is a 16 to 17% vote. And for that reason, once upon a time, Samajwadi Party also received highest seat here, and the Bahujan Samaj Party also, and Mayawati become 2 times the chief minister of this state. And this time, what happened? This force again come together, not divided, and you look the result is entirely different. So this is the whole thing, and this is the stream, but it is unfinished jobs. A real fight is going on because the institutions and many things are on threats. But there is a big change in the politics of India. So diversity won, and the spirit of inclusiveness and won. And in this way, all progressive forces who are against caste system and patriarchy and the communism, as well as the corporate fascism and neoliberal understanding, they come together and support to each other. Thank you.
I agree with you. Thank you, Dr. Lenin, for your very big insight. Now we have Subhajit Naskar. Subhajit will present his examination of Dalit performance in the election 2024. Subhajit Naskar, the floor is now yours. Over to you.
So, though it's difficult to sort of give you a broader picture of what has happened in the recently concluded general election of India. But what I would like to do is that I would broadly try to flag certain points, not really specifically on how Dalit vote banks or the way Dalits basically voted, but rather I would try and explain that how not only that it is the Dalit voters, those have tried to vote differently this time, but how their voting behaviors or the voting patterns get shaped in India, or especially in the electoral landscape of India. You know that entire South Asia, for that matter, including Pakistan, in Bangladesh, even in India, Dalits are there. In Bangladesh, they are called Harijans by taking a cue from Gandhi's appropriating stance. But in India, broadly, Dr. Ambedkar tried to sort of liberate them by calling them depressed classes and try to get a good deal for them electorally, politically, socially, economically, and so on. But my broader point is that Dalit voting behavior, Dalit voting performance largely gets shaped by the behavior of the upper castes. You would know that Indian society or the broader Indian subcontinent or the South Asian states have caste as a very, very intrinsic phenomenon, and that is very, very graded and hierarchical, where Brahmins are at the top, then Kshatriyas, then Vaishyas, then Sudras, and Dalits are nowhere in the Hindu religion. They are outcasts. They are not given any assigned any varna in Hindu, so they are basically avarnas. They are without any varna. Sudras are, of course, OBCs. But in India, if you look at the political parties and the electoral politics and the discourse, which is largely basically dominated by the upper castes, and that is why the political parties, the prominent political parties in India, are basically controlled and helmed by upper castes and dominant castes. It can be dominant backward classes and others, but they are the ones those set the narratives and they rule. They are at the helms of government, in the party's rank files, in various media editorial posts, and so on. And that is why Dalits, being the most oppressed, historically oppressed community, they also basically urge, their political and social urge has always been to come to the mainstream. And electoral practices, which is through universal adult franchise, through Indian Constitution. So that is one of the very important mechanism that Dalits have, the democratic mechanism, which gives them a scope to place their demands, or to sort of put forth their situation in front of these political parties. Those are traditionally not in their control, but in the hands of upper caste. You take the example of let's say Bihar or Uttar Pradesh being India's largest state, and with the maximum number of seats that sends to the parliament, a number of members of parliament. So the Uttar Pradesh for the last probably a decade and so is ruled by a prominent dominant caste, and the chief minister himself comes from a very dominant caste, and that is why you would see that if you keep a close tab on what is happening in Uttar Pradesh, the Dalits have been regular victims of caste-based atrocities in the hands of upper caste. In fact, at times, the other religious communities, they are also very what should I say, the inimical to the Dalit existence. So most of these upper castes, including those lead the government and the political parties, they are very assertive about their caste. Some call them that we are proud Kshatriyas, some call them we are proud Brahmins, some call them we are proud Kshatriya Rajputs, some call them we are proud Ahirs, some call them we are proud Bhumihars, and so on. Some call them we are proud Baniyas, that is businessman community. Like the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath says that I'm proud to have been born as Kshatriya. So these kind of assertions of the upper caste supremacy, leads or sort of controls Dalits' voting behavior, and that is why you would see that for them, Dalits, their only instrument is a strong instrument to reclaim the dignity has been the Indian Constitution. And needless to say that the Constitution is written by somebody who himself has been Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar has been Dalit himself. So this time in 2024, Dalits vote have largely shifted to the non-BJP parties, which is in the largely a Congress-led opposition parties like TMC, like SP, and so on. But on the other, very interestingly, the status quoist castes in India have been the upper castes, and they have been the traditional vote banks of the BJP. If you look at Uttar Pradesh, if you look at West Bengal, if you look at Bihar, and so on, the dominant castes and upper castes and Brahmins, they have been traditional vote banks of the BJP, and at times they have been the vote banks of the Congress and other non-BJP parties. Now, the Dalits, being the victims and oppressed by being at the lowest of the strata in the Indian society, even in the Indian politics, they do not have assertive representation in the governance structure in the party. Most of the political parties are in the hands of the upper caste. Interestingly, in the case of Congress, a president is from Dalit. But you would know that the party's broader decision making and policy making control is in the hands of the upper caste. For example, in the Congress, nobody can speak a word against the Gandhis, the Rahul Gandhi and others. So I would give you a quick example which has happened recently. In Tamil Nadu, which is a southern state of India, Dalit Buddhist state president of a party, which is Uttar Pradesh based, but a national party, Bahujan Samaj Party, headed by again a Dalit, Vanji Mayawati. So that party's state president in Tamil Nadu, Mr. Armstrong, has been brutally murdered. And none of these non-BJP parties, especially Dalits in the non-BJP parties, could come out in support of in support and in solidarity of the Armstrong's family, therefore by demanding justice for his brutal murder. Interestingly, the Congress president is a Dalit, but he cannot assert his for his own community, and that is why he could not speak a word for the murder of that Dalit state chief of a national political party, which is again a Dalit led. So, if you go to southern states where untouchability is still practiced, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, in West Bengal, the representation of Dalits are very, very less. The political system, the party is under the control of dominant castes like Kastas, Vaidus, and of course, Brahmins. The voting behavior of Dalits remain largely very, very mixed. Dalits are at times confused. Even if they do not vote the probable winning party in any election, they will be further marginalized. They will not be given their share. There will not be any programs which is in their interest. And on the other hand, even if they vote, they are not given a post which is important policy making post, or they are not given a post where. So Dalits are basically a punching bag, electorally, politically, socially. So and that is why in a caste society like India, or in fact, in the case of Pakistan, Bangladesh, in Bangladesh, so many of Dalits are in the they vote the ruling party, but they being the cleaners of the city space in the cities, they do not have representation. So Dalits are not in minorities in other in other South Asian states except India. But they are also Dalits. So minority plus Dalits, it's a double-edged sword that they have to carry. In the case of India, in the recent concluded election, from the southern states where Dalits have largely voted in favor of the ruling dispensation, the non-BJP ruling dispensation, like the communist parties in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, where Congress is in power, in Andhra Pradesh, in Telangana. Coming to North India and Eastern India, Dalits have again in Uttar Pradesh, Dalits have largely voted to the non-BJP parties. In Bengal, Dalits have voted largely to the Dalit vote share has increased in the bags of non-BJP parties. But what has happened post this election, even if Dalits have voted, so Dalits keep on sort of checking on. It's a very, very interesting phenomenon that I see. Dalits keep on checking on these upper caste controlled political parties that how fair deal they get after voting a BJP or a non-BJP party in various elections. But the larger experience has been that whether Dalits vote to BJP or a non-BJP party, the discrimination or the caste-based, unfair distribution of resources have never been in favor of Dalits, whether it's the lands, whether it's the prominent policy making posts. So Dalits wouldn't be found in any of those. And there is a reason behind this. The reason being that Dalit vote bank often is being taken as granted by the BJP and non-BJP parties, and this has happened due to the failure of the weakening of the parties. Those are headed by somebody from the Dalit community, especially in the case of Uttar Pradesh, it is the Bahujan Samaj Party led by Bahenji Mayawati. So, but in other states where Dalits are assertive, Dalits are try to spearhead an independent movement. It is the upper caste parties; those do not allow them, or upper caste parties, in other words, do not nurture Dalit leadership. And what they do in turn, they kind of stereotype. They look at Dalit leaders through the stereotypical casteist, or let's say what I call as the Brahminical lens or gauge, where they always think that if a Dalit MP is given a post in the government, it's a post which is very, very stereotypical post, which deals with the Dalit related issues, not in a prominent post like finance department or home department or urban development department and so on. So, Dalits urge to come to the mainstream from the margin in this election has been by carrying the principles of Indian Constitution. So Dalits have largely been asserting their rights and their dignity against their humiliation by the Brahmins and other upper castes through the Indian Constitution, and which is why this in this election, in fact, the speech of Dalit for reservation, for more and more affirmative policies, they have basically taken a larger discourse of what you call Samvidhan, which is Constitution, to the mainstream, and they have forced the parties to hold the Constitution very dearly. But post the election, the constitutional discourse with which the opposition non-BJP parties got benefited, they have kind of largely abandoned in various states, in the BJP ruled states and the non-BJP ruled Congress states and other states. Dalits are not given a fair share. In Dalits are not given a good. Dalit scholarships are being withdrawn. Various schemes which is meant for the Dalits, sanctioned by the Indian constitutions, are being withdrawn. So Dalits Dalits coming to the mainstream has become a very, very painful, and it's been a long fight, a very tiring fight for the Dalit community, due to the very, very particular reason that the upper castes, those actually control the Indian society, politics, governance, media, and so on, and activism, in fact, judiciary, they are not ready to basically enough address or adequately address Dalit issues. In other words, they prefer pliable Dalits, or what you call the Chamcha Dalits. Those would not question the upper caste dominance in politics. That's it. Thank you.
Subhajit, thank you for sharing your best insightful presentation. Now we welcome Dr. Kiran Kamal Prasad. He will offer his insights and perspective of Dalit performance in 2024 elections. Dr. Kamal, over to you, please.
It will be my field level experiences, and in terms of my own insights of my working with bonded labor as a movement. It is not just helping the individuals to get their rights, but to address the system of bonded labor itself and bring about changes at the policy level. Therefore, though it is grassroots driven, we very much intervene at the policy level, from state, also at the national level, and district to the level of Gram Panchayat. The leaders, we have a union of bonded laborers who work towards, they become agents in getting the rights under the bonded labor and various other human rights. Now, in terms of, I want to specifically, I have not coordinated or well thought out points, but I would like to just flag them up in terms of this perspective of the 24 election, and for Karnataka preceded by the assembly elections the year before, and then the larger perspective of the society, the political parties, and the Dalit movements. All these various forces, I would like to just share my, and then at the field level, actively, we about 7-8 districts or parliamentary constituencies we combined with Delhi Karnataka, our movement known as Jivika, Jita Vimukti Karnataka, Bonded Labor Liberation Front in Karnataka. Now, one is, first I think I would like to share the experience of Edelu Karnataka, Wake Up Karnataka, and then it was extended to the country level in the general elections under the name of Jago Bharat or Wake Up India. The experience of Edelu Karnataka, which was basically spearheaded by one movement, I think I should mention this, so they very much don't mention that in the public, Karnataka Janashakti, which has been very active in combating the communal forces last 15, 20 years and last 5, 10 years, upholding the constitutional values with lot of programs. And that spearheaded this movement called Eddelu Karnataka. The birth of this was on January 4th, 2023. And I was part of that. I have been along, though I have not been, yes. And this group has brought together very, very progressive forces, all anti-BJP forces or the anti-communal forces together to say mainly the DSS, Dalit Sangharsh Samiti, a very powerful movement begun in the 70s, given leadership by top Dalit intellectuals and activists. And that has, though it has splintered into many groups, it has come together and both for voice to stand by, to mainly to say we are against BJP, and in that process to be for Congress. To defeat BJP in Karnataka, there was no other alternative than to support Congress. This has been also our JP experience, and there were other progressive groups like Bahutva Karnataka, that is Diverse Karnataka, Jagrat Karnataka, and all the minority groups, especially Muslims and Christian groups, different denominations, they were all brought together under one platform and all coming together. I think this was the experience, and with a very good analysis, political analysis of how the previous elections, how the previous BJP government won. And the analysis was that though we have 224 assembly constituencies, the BJP won by a very, very narrow margin in about 70 constituencies. They won anywhere from 200, 300 to maybe at the most 5,000. Such a small margin. And therefore the strategy was to not concentrate on all the 200 or so constituencies, but concentrate on the 70. Because and where BJP was very strong, we never bothered. But these 70 we concentrated, and the result, Karnataka BJP was defeated, and Congress government came with a high majority. I think 2/3 majority or whatever. Then that other aspect of that, this experience was watched all over Karnataka, especially in the neighboring states, both the movements, political parties, and the progressive groups, especially civil society organizations. And the Eddelu Karnataka experience has been shared with, beginning with Maharashtra, Telangana, Andhra, Kerala, and then to, I think, all over India. And unfortunately, now there I come to Karnataka. We also were very, very enthusiastic and given the response that we would win out of 28 parliamentary constituencies in 20 seats. Hands were held down, or we easily will win. But ultimate result, what we could win only 9 constituencies. And that is because various factors, there are various things. Now, Karnataka, Dalit movement was such a strong. I have been walking along with it, observing from outside, and because of my own involvement in bonded labor and with the bonded labor, I consider it is an aspect of caste system. And fighting against bonded labor, giving dignity to labor, wiping out bonded labor also would give a big blow to caste system, because not only caste system, social hierarchy and economic exploitation, political marginalization, but also it is labor, indignity to labor. Even now, Dalits constitute about 50%, 60% are agricultural laborers, illiterate agriculture, asset-led agricultural laborers, but they don't get their due. They hardly don't even get minimum wages, and which is true for all the unorganized sectors, which is about 93%. Now, this Dalit movement, which was such a, I know I took part in one Ambedkar Jayanti program in 1987. Ram Vilas Paswan from North came to address as the main speaker. Such a big mobilization, 4 to 5 lakh Dalits from coming together in Bangalore. But the very next few months, DSS decided to take part in the political elections, but they could not win, where the Dalit movement was very strong. They were defeated. Therefore, in Karnataka, I don't know the other places, there is certain dynamics, political dynamics and mobilization dynamics, movement dynamics. They don't go together. People, somehow, the larger people keep the two things separate. I fail to understand why that is. And now this time, in Karnataka, there is another dynamics. Our social grouping. Karnataka, the dominant castes, who are also upper caste, but not the Brahmins majority. As I think as a national level, Karnataka also would not be more than 4%. But we have our main groups. One is the dominant caste Lingayats and Vokkaligas, and then the OBC, that is mainly our chief minister now present, coming from the shepherd group, Kuruba. And then the fourth, Dalits. SC, ST as a group would be the biggest in terms of population and the vote bank, 25%. All the other three groupings could be anywhere between 16 to 20%. And the minorities with the Muslims and Christians, it will be easily 12 to 15%. With this, therefore, these are four, fighting forces in terms of population-wise. But as you know, money, power, the Lingayats and the Vokkaligas, they determine elections with their money power. And in one election where in Chimbapura, such a strong Congress was to win, but ultimately the BJP who had such a great name for corruption during the COVID time, he wins because of money power. And also against the present Siddaramaiah, that is OBC. They have decided, we had heard, the Vokkaligas and Lingayats together had decided not to allow their own member, who is a corrupt person, to win and not to support Congress, to defeat Congress. This is, I think, different parts of Karnataka, this dynamics has worked. And then among the politics, Dalits, in terms of, I don't think they have been in mainstream. Question is whether they are in the leadership and where the leadership positions. And Congress, though they were vote banks for Congress for a long time, but they never had, and even people who got elected because of this reservation policy where to get elected, they had to get the support of the dominant caste. Therefore, all the Dalit MLAs, MPs who elect through, most of them don't raise Dalit voice. There was a possibility of Bahujana Samaj Party. Again, the corruption from the BJP money power had stifled that emerging movement of BSP in Karnataka. And this time, with the BJP, after Narendra Modi tried to win away the marginal groups, especially tribals and Dalits and backward classes, by giving them positions, many Dalit leaders, and we have been deprived of positions in any party. Now we get some position in the BJP. Why not? Therefore, the Dalit activist leaders who are otherwise radical, who are otherwise motivated by Ambedkar ideology, when it comes to power dynamics, they easily get into the powers offered by the BJP and large scale. I see this in Karnataka, I don't know. But in spite of that, there has been, because of Edil Karnataka, one of the strong thing, they brought out these booklets and small booklets, enough is enough, in English and in Hindi and Kannada, circulated widely. About, I think, 5 lakh copies of those booklets were printed, and many more, maybe nearly core the pamphlets. They are wonderful material which, when it was distributed to ordinary people, intellectuals, police officers, lecturers, if we had this material before, now people have formed what I say, which was true in Karnataka, I think all over India, that from emotional issues to livelihood issues, people would now ask for. So far, the money power, ultimately, who gave it is very interesting to see at the end, and the BJP or the money powers, they come at the last and give more money than anybody other candidates. And there is a psychology among the poor, among the Dalits. We should not cheat, and they would vote for the highest, the person who has given the highest amount. And sometimes in the family, if there are 4 votes, if there are 4 votes, 2 votes, they will reserve for the one who has given the highest money, and other 2 whomever they have received. This sort of dynamics is going on in the Dalit families. I think is also among other people. Then one more dynamics in our one constituency. There is the caste. Karnataka has this tradition of backward classes commission, Havnur commission. It has brought together many similar exploited groups together. DSS also, Dalit meant exploited groups of every caste. Economic power exploitation also was part of Dalit. This was part of the ideology of DSS. It's a very good thing. But in Karnataka, because of Havnur, in SC groups, there are touchable scheduled caste groups. And most of the BJPs, when they give leadership leadership, they give to the touchable SC. Therefore, for the name sake, they give position to SCs. But you see, most of the leaders they support from the touchable scheduled caste, not the untouchable scheduled caste. This is the inner Dalit dynamics in Karnataka, and then in the party also. Now, the Jadavpur, the neighboring district or parliamentary constituency was Kolar. There is a sitting minister. He wanted to see that his son gets prime minister. Ultimately, he was convinced. But from his own country, in Karnataka, we have right hand and left hand. Right hand is supposed to be little superior. Left hand is supposed to be little inferior to both are Dalit groups. Now, this minister is from left caste. He was adamant, or other caste groups, they were adamant not to give representation to left caste. They were all right with the right hand caste, Dalit caste. But ultimately, that group was won over by the Congress leadership to support the left wing. Now, this minister who is from left wing, ultimately, he also was persuaded to give up campaigning for his son. And another, he is a SC leader in the Congress from the left wing, left side. He was given position, and now I had heard these rumors, but I know for sure this minister had canvassed among his followers and his family members not to vote for the official candidate and even vote for BJP. See, therefore, this is the dynamics, dirty dynamics, even in Dalit politics, party politics, fighting it. Therefore, how do you analyze all these forces? It is a very, very complex phenomena. But one thing that Dalits and people at the margins have got into the livelihood issues and not fall for the emotional issues, communal, all these sort of religion. And that we have to strengthen. How do we build up livelihood and go to the people, ordinary people? They understand. And once they understand, they will campaign. And I suppose Dalit also would be that. And we have to do that right now. Not somebody said, now after the election, everybody is lull. No, we require to keep this momentum and see people's issues come to that livelihood issues of employment, of poverty, and especially, I would say, education and health. Now, Congress manifesto national level, Karnataka had many other guarantees, but in all their guarantees, there was no guarantee on education. Our demand, that should be quality education for every child, not some what it calls representative residential, but every child. I met our Congress candidate in Jadavpur and said, even before election, whether you win or not, you should take this demand of quality education to every child. Maybe within 5 years, you have to bring this policy change. I think if people's issues, especially education and health, this should become the rallying point for direct mobilization, for all the marginalized, for all the working group. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kamal, for sharing the reality. Thank you for enlightening speech. Thank you all speakers and participants for enlightening today's webinar on Dalit performance in 2024 election. The presentation by Subhajit Naskar, Dr. Lenin Raghuvanshi, and Dr. Kamal Prasad have deepened our understanding of challenges and opportunities facing Dalit communities in political arena. This insight underscored the importance of inclusivity policies, grassroots activism, ongoing dialogues to ensure meaningful representation and empowerment. So let us carry forward this momentum in advocating equal rights and opportunities for all the citizens. Thank you all for your active participants and engaging insights. We are grateful to our speakers of their valuable contribution and our audience for joining us today. Please stay connected with SARIM for more webinar updates and research updates. Have a great day. Take care. Thank you.